Seriously?
I'd even have it for lunch and dinner.
You mean that's all you ate?
That's all.
Period.
Period.
What in the world
Period.
are you talking about?
That's all I ate.
All right, guys, episode 16 of the Showroom. I'm honored to have the man, Brad Mackey, here with me, the creative director of our Roadmaster marketing team. That's the title, but the number of hats that you wear is probably 20 to 25 deep, and the things that you've mastered over the 18 years you've been with us. So thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Sharing your story because it's a really cool one. So from a McGrath standpoint, we can get into when you started here, but talk about like where you grew up, where you went to high school, and then we can get to when you got with us. Yeah.
I grew up on a farm just outside Ely, Iowa. It's been in the family for, I want to say, 150 some years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How big a farm? Like how many acres?
Man, at this point, I don't know. It's being rented out, this and that, and it was firing all cylinders when I was growing up. My dad led the way in that regard. Like, he was the firstborn son.
Yeah.
The heir to the throne, if you will.
I just saw him in service the other day, by the way.
Yeah.
Good to see him.
Yeah. And I bet they had a couple hundred head of hogs, and we had cows, hundreds of acres of crops, but it was never something my old man was really passionate about getting me into necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up, we'd definitely help out with chores on weekends and whatnot, and it was always a fire sale. Like, he'd come blasting in first thing in the morning on a Saturday morning, when we're all kids wanting to sleep in or watch cartoons. He comes blasting in. We got to go down to the hog house, and we're oh my God, panic situation. But man, yeah, I learned a lot about work ethic, and
I was gonna say that's probably where your work ethic
100%.
is from.
I like telling this story just because it kind of draws the juxtaposition between my brother and I. Growing up, summers, the deal was if we helped bale hay, we helped load hay up the elevator into the barn all summer, we could get whatever shoes we wanted. Growing up as a kid, that's hot, right?
Yeah.
Cool sneakers. One pair in particular I remember the Deion Sanders. They had like zebra stripes on them.
Oh.
Those were bangers. I love those shoes.
You probably saw those in the East Bay Mackey.
Oh yeah, definitely East Bay. But that was the reward. But like I through that I was like, yeah, like people are out there busting ass to get what they want in this world. My brother, on the other hand, he feels that he was unfairly compensated. He's got a check coming his way. But yeah.
Is that where you started motocross on the farm, or where'd you?
Yeah. Also, that was kind of a secret of my parents too. Like, I don't know if they didn't want me to get on a motorcycle as a young guy, but it was kind of a secret interest of theirs. And
Okay.
They'd go up every summer to races, but we'd always get ditched at grandma's or something, Not until I was probably like 15, 16, like my dad kind of opened it up to me. As a niche sport,
Yeah.
This was kind of before the internet, so it's kind of like hard to be tuned into something like that.
Yeah.
He kind of showed me the way, and we got a motorcycle, and it took off from there. Like at the time, I struggled a lot just because I was always a heavy kid. Like up until.
Were you really?
Yeah, I think right around like 24, 25, I finally figured it out, and I was up to like 280 pounds.
Were you?
Or 270 pounds, and I dropped down to 170 in a year.
A year?
Yeah, I was.
And that's probably about where you at right now.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Stayed consistent. Just totally took seriously the whole. It's not changing these little habits, like changing your whole lifestyle. Like I really took that to heart. And at the time, I was also kind of floundering as far as like the direction of my life.
Sure.
Like I had some hard things happen coming out of coming out of high school, to the point where college wasn't really an option.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make best use of the opportunities I had, but I was at the time kind of losing hope that this dream of kind of pursuing my passion, I kind of thought it was over.
Which was motocross?
No, graphic design.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around.
So you had that passion even in high school?
100%.
Yeah.
From the day I was born, I was drawing. Like, it was my escape, 100%. Like, anything going on, that's where I found myself.
So that's, and I'll tell the story because I just know Sharon told me when you were detailing cars. Did you graduated from Prairie High School, right?
Yep.
And then where did you went to Kirkwood for a semester?
Yeah, like a semester and a half.
And then started detailing cars, or did you have a job in between?
Oh, probably around there. I worked at Target for a spell. I was like the electronics specialist.
Okay.
And then I went from there to here, and I got an opportunity to help out a buddy doing cable install. I thought that'd be an interesting path to check out. I was wrong. I came crawling right back here after about a month. But, yeah.
And then you were detailing cars. And back then we had the punch card, time cards.
Yep,
That you just, punch in, punch out. Well, our HR director, Sharon Wagner at the time, we had job posted for a graphic designer. And you would draw graphics, you would draw pictures on your time card and turn them in, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And she recognized that and said something to Winker or to Corey, I believe, and said, "You need to look at this. I don't know what his capabilities are on computer, but he can freaking draw."
See,
Is that where it started?
I hear that story and I think like, man, these people just probably think I'm dinking around on the clock. Like that's what my concern was. Not that like, oh, we see this potential. But I mean, yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door. It was just this perfect timing of the boss, Corey Hosh, at the time was getting the internet sales department going.
Yep.
And so he needed help with in regards to advertising there. And I just happened to be kind of in detail and in the company and had the interest and skill set that kind of aligned with what he was looking for. And like I still to this day remember most of the interview. I remember it was down at Chevyland in those offices by the showroom there.
Yeah.
And I just remember telling him, like, if I promise you, if you give me this opportunity, you will not regret it. I promise you. Like this, I just saw it as such a huge chance to just get reps. Like that's all I was looking for at the time. It's like, I need to hone my craft. I need to learn these skills. Like, and this guy has a fire under his ass. And I see, like, I don't feel like at the time dealerships were taking advantage of what was available on the internet.
Yeah.
And he was just like sniffing it out like a dog. I was like, this guy's going to go places with this.
Yeah.
I got to hitch up my wagon. I got to get on board. And man, I haven't looked back since. Like the amount of opportunities to try new things and explore my interest and fail and not really have any repercussions, really. You know, I guess that's the benefit of being ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Is you try and figure stuff out that works. And man, just a hell of a fun time.
And that was 18 years ago.
18 years ago.
And now, just as I explained to everybody, I would say you and Corey together lead the Roadmaster marketing company. So we have our own marketing company where you guys handle all the creative production. We're actually in the production studio here for our TV and radio spots. You write all the spots, TV, radio, many other things. And we can go through all the things you've mastered in your career.
Let's not get carried away with mastered.
I would say, I would think it is. So you handle all of our all 10 of our car stores, all of our 4 motorcycle stores, plus we have, is it 3 outside clients outside of the car business right now that you do? 11 employees in the Roadmaster.
Roughly.
We have a couple that do some contract work for us. So, and it started just basically Corey, and then he hired you, and then over time, it's just I'd say since 2020, when we said we're gonna no longer have an agency, we were with Strong out of Alabama, and now we gave you the ball, and you started writing our creative, and your team with Nick and Zach and Raphael and everybody is just crushing it. That's got to feel so cool. How far it's come.
Absolutely.
And a testament to your point on your discipline and work ethic. And that's what I think of when I think of you. Everything that you have taken on in your life, from photography, you take unbelievable pictures, motocross, Google Analytics. It's been a crazy last week. You slept much? Creative directing, being a father, you just master. What drives you, man? Where does that? I know it, kind of came from the farm and your background. What drives you? What makes you tick?
Man, that is a complicated question. Sometimes it can be a negative. Sometimes it comes from my old man, sort of, wheels spinning no matter what. On my deathbed, I don't want a single regret. Not one regret. I feel like that is the definition of living my life to the fullest. And, there are always going to be these little minor grievances, I'm sure, with choices made in the past. But ultimately, I just want to give it my all. I want to dive in. I want to give it my all because I enjoyed the process of that. Like the outcome or recognition or backpass, that doesn't move the meter for me so much. It's just being in it and that sense that I've improved in some minor way. Like that is always what drives me. If you're resting, you're rusting is kind of a sentiment that means
that's
a lot
a good
to
one.
me. That means a lot to me. I never want to be complacent. I never want to be content with where I'm at. I always want to be building something. And it comes in as a detriment when I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm failing, and that can kind of be suffocating at times. But I feel like there's so much positive that comes from it too.
And you're very regimented too, aren't you?
Extremely.
Like, aren't you supposed to eat lunch at 2:00? Is that bugging
Yes.
you right now?
Yes. My sleep schedule, my eat schedule, what food is chosen. I remember hearing that Mark Zuckerberg always used to wear a hooded sweatshirt because then he didn't have to make the decision of what he was going to wear that day and just keep moving.
Yeah.
Like these insignificant things. Like I just like removing thinking about these little, So I watch some people like, oh man, let's talk about when I'm going to have a lunch today for an hour and a half. Like let's need something in me.
What do you eat for lunch every day?
It's always a ham sandwich, sun chips, and a granola bar.
Is it the same thing every day?
Every day. Every single day. I find comfort in that for some reason.
That's good, man.
I don't know. But yeah, being on my deathbed and having no regrets, feeling like I'm always improving, and being of some service to the people around me. Like that is a huge driving factor as well. Like I'm a big believer that the best way you can make a positive impact in this world is through the people around you and making an impact in their lives.
Yeah.
I think I feel like some people get lost in causes or charities or things to get fired up when they could be just turning to their family and doing more for them and improving their lives. Like rising tide raises all ships, right? Like I just feel like it's a value that seems to be fading these days. And
that's a great perspective. Do you have any regrets in your life so far?
I can't. No, I have to say no. Like I could like I said, squabble with some decisions here and there, but ultimately, like the spot I find myself in right now, I don't think I would be here without the mistakes, without sort of the bumps in the road. The obstacle is the path, to steal a line from Bluey.
Bluey.
Yeah, no regrets.
How'd you meet your wife?
Well, the family has kind of sort of been in the car business for a while.
Yep.
After my parents left, after we all left the farm, right around when I was in middle school, early high school, my dad kind of needed to find somewhere to go with the skill set he had, which was very specific to the farm.
Sure.
And he got his start in Chevy up in Center Point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Aronson or
Yep, Jim Aronson's.
Okay. Yep.
And then my mom simultaneously kind of took on a job at Jungi as a receptionist. Well, she eventually moved on to Cedar Rapids Toyota, and that's where she met my wife. They kind of kicked off a little friendship. And then through that, my mom, she's a social woman. She likes to have
awesome.
some evening gatherings. Andrea, my wife, was invited to those and kind of crossed paths, and she was kind of dating somebody at the time. I was kind of dating somebody at the time.
Oh, Bradley.
But we also kind of triggered each other's radars. And it's funny, she's been providing some insight into those days somewhat recently, is like sizing up the girl that I was dating at the time. Like, she ain't got nothing on me. And she was not happy with her situation at the time and kind of making excuses to say it. And it was just good timing. Like, my mom would tell her stories of, you know, like what I was going through in my relationship at the time, and like for some reason just was a little enamored with me, I guess. But
how could you not be? Look at that. Look at this guy.
So the stars were sort of kind of aligning finally at one of these gatherings. And I was kind of picking up. I'm not the best at this. reading when a woman like has interest in me. That was never my strong suit. It was always like, that's not possible. But I was kind of picking up a vibe.
Yeah.
And then like she just took the bull by the horns. She took me out behind our garage and just laid a big old smoocher on me. I was like, hot damn, she is in.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a bit of drama after then internally with the family. My brother was worried like, oh, you're going to split up their friendship. And my mom was just like, this is what I always dreamed of.
I mean, she was working on it behind the scenes.
Yeah. Later on, when I proposed to her, I set up everything in that exact same spot where we.
Did you really?
Yeah. I had a whole routine set up at the time. Like I had a hard rule of like, I'm not spending more than $5,000 on a vehicle. Like I'm driving junkers forever. I had this junker GMC pickup, and it was always giving me troubles. So I set up this scenario where I'm like, all right, I'm going to pretend with Andrea that the truck won't start. I'm over at my mom's house. The truck won't start. I'm going to call her up and get her over here. I call her up. It's, like 7 or 8 p.m. and she's pissed. Like, I told you to get rid of this truck. We need to get a new truck. She comes over and, she kind of got an attitude. I'm like, yeah, come on back. Come check this out. We got to take a look at what's going on here. And then she walked out, and I had like a sign and under the little spotlight and everything.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was adorable.
Did you get it on video, or did it?
No,
there's nobody else there?
My mom and brother were kind of peeking behind the garage.
Were they?
Just observing, but
This is that creativity. That's really good, man.
It was fun.
And what year did you get married? How long have you been married now?
2016, I believe.
Okay.
We dated about the same amount of time as I've been here. We started dating like 18 years ago. And because of my parents and that all going awry, I was a little gun shy.
Yeah.
Like I swear, first year, I had strong inclinations like this is it. This is the girl for me. But man, I just like was so afraid to make that big mistake or
Your parents were going through a divorce at that time?
Oh, they had been long divorced, but
Okay.
I always kind of maintained this. Like I had seen the repercussions of it all and the toll it takes. I did not want to create that situation in my life, no matter what. There's a driving force there too. Like stability, creating a stable situation for a family was a driving force.
How old were you when they got divorced?
18.
Okay. So was that hard?
Oh, it was brutal. It consumed every aspect of my life from the time I was in 6th grade until I was probably 22, 23. We moved around a lot. She'd move out and I'd follow. We'd go to grandma's or she'd have an apartment or it dictated a lot of things for my brother and I's life at that time. And I have a hard time. I still don't think my brother's recovered. I still don't think he's kind of figured out exactly how much it set him back. But about the no regrets thing, like I feel like I learned an excessive amount of important lessons about relationships. Like I saw, some of the things that can get in the way of any marriage, like money problems or lack of communication or just not prioritizing the right things or losing track of each other's values. It was hard, but man, I learned a lot, and it really made me appreciate some simple things, some simple beauties in this life.
Yeah.
Like family and the importance of friends and relationships. Like that stuff's invaluable, and I don't know if I would have had that appreciation had I not gone through that. So I'm grateful for the way things have gone. And I'm very proud and will boast loudly that my wife and I have played a pretty big role in kind of bringing everybody back together. You know, at a time it was pretty fractured, and you know nobody would be in the same room together. But now, you know, like every Sunday, we have my brother and my father over, and my mom. We all sit down.
Really?
Yep. Watch Supercross every Sunday morning. We bring over some donuts or whatever, and just talk. It's
Good for
awesome.
you.
It's awesome. And even pull out some conversation cards and get a little silly. But
Do you really?
yeah, it's been a long road, hell, but I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, your parents are good people, and that's cool that you. What conversation cards is this, like something you made, or is this a?
No, you haven't seen little games. You can get all kinds of them. You can get deep therapy like questions, or they're just these little packs of cards that have a bunch of questions. It's my favorite thing to do because, you know, it's easy to, you know, you see these people enough and like you don't have nothing going on. It's easy for the conversation to go stale, but like you bust those out, and it's especially with your parents, right? It's fun to get little insights that maybe you wouldn't have asked as a kid, or maybe you were just afraid of the answer. But now, being a little older and having some perspective, it's really cool kind of hearing what they have to say about whether it's silly or serious. It's fun getting their perspective and learning who they actually are, you know, beyond your mom or dad.
Right. How do you create intentionality with you and Andrea? What do you do to focus? I mean, now that you're parents, that can always become the focus, and should be. And you can make sure that you work on each other, because there'll be a day where the kid is gone and it's just you two. Yeah. So how do you continue to maintain a good relationship? How do you focus on that?
Oh, man. Big question. I like big questions. You would have more insight to this than I. I would say we're figuring that out. There's so much faith and trust in each other.
Yeah.
That I know we'll find ways, but we do. You know, you can't expect it to happen. You can't wait for it to happen, right? We make it happen. A good example would be last weekend. We rounded up some help and got a babysitter and got out and just dinked around at spare time. And,
good for you.
I mean, kind of similarly, like we just try to have conversations every night.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I hear about some marriages almost leading separate lives in the same home, and I just can't imagine that life. Like I almost probably wear her out with how much communication.
Good for you.
I kind of dump on her. Well, yeah, I think so, and she appreciates it and she enjoys it. But yeah, just constantly talking, constantly exploring topics. I'm very proactive, maybe too much in that regard. Like I flounder with mystery. So like I like knowing, even if the answers or the explanations hurt me, like they're easier to grapple with, you know. I'd much rather have that. So I'd say that's probably the number one thing that kind of keeps us together. But you know, it's hard, right? All those little shits are all encompassing, and they're 24/7. But plus, you know, it's been a dream of mine also. Like that's a huge component of my life goals. Is like and maybe it shouldn't be, but like it's sort of a set right the wrong kind of thing. Like reset the family tree, almost, to sound grandiose.
Break the generational trend.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm just yep. I feel like I would go to my deathbed as a failure if I had repeated some of these cycles. So that's been a driving factor, and I'm very fortunate that she is so aligned with me as far as these values and appreciates the same things and doesn't appreciate the same things. Like we're kind of frugal people, and that's not really even about the money. It's just more about just we don't need much.
Yeah.
Like we want to have what we need. And finding someone like that these days, I feel like diamond in the rough.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
She's an awesome person,
and you know,
I love hearing.
We had a tough time getting pregnant too.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a little additional layer of motivation.
Did you
for
have to do
myself.
IVF and all that?
No, it never got that far. When it was mostly my problem. But it got to the point where it looked like it wasn't going to happen unless we went those routes.
Sure.
And then kind of just miraculously, a couple years into it, it happened for us. So like just that moment of considering the fact that it might not be on the table, like that set me back a little bit, because like I had a lot invested in wanting to be a dad.
Yeah.
So having that kind of taken away from me for a moment, that was kind of scary, because like I feel like everything I was doing in my life was for this purpose. So to remove that motivation, it was like, oh,
that's scary.
Yeah, what am I even doing then?
Yeah, it's scary.
So to have it happen was awesome.
What's been most surprising first about being a dad?
I can't believe how much I have transformed as a person. Like I kind of thought it was just going to be external stuff, like just, dealing with the lifestyle shift and watching this little miracle grow and have these ideas and words come out of her. But I have changed so much as a person, and I've become so much more sentimental. And like prior, I was always a closed off guy, always isolated, always kept to myself. Yeah. That was my thing. Like,
so I was really happy that you gave me the okay to come on the showroom, bud.
Well, it's so weird, because like I like talking, but like,
yeah,
I'm just an introverted guy.
Yeah.
But man, after we had Claire, I don't know. It just my desire to feel connected to others sort of blossomed, and I had a hard time even explaining it to myself, but I've kind of tried to follow that.
Yeah.
And accommodate that as much as possible and develop it. It's served as a motivator. This has led to me pursuing more relationships in my life and better connections, which has resulted in some reality checks, which has resulted in me now pursuing therapy. I've been doing that since July.
Good for you.
And it's raised my eyes to some things about myself that I don't necessarily like. But, back to the feeling like I'm growing and progressing, like I've found something in myself that is really exciting to me, and maybe might open up another avenue of like what I'm capable of as a human. Like I feel like this has been something that has probably held me back quite a bit. My resistance to integrating with people. But yeah,
which is it's funny because you are so easy to talk to. So
it's all correlated with having Claire, 100%.
How old is she now?
Just turned 3 in December.
Great age. Every age is the best. My uncle told me this. I've tried to share it with as many friends that have kids as possible. I asked him, what's one piece of advice? His girls are grown now, out of college. What's one piece of advice he gave me? He goes, just love the stage of life that you're in right now and don't look forward, because it's so natural for parents to, I can't wait till they can play catch in the yard. I can't wait until they can dribble basketball. Or I can't wait till they can read. I can't wait till they can't wait. And all of a sudden you look back and go, what just happened?
It's funny you say that, because you gave me that advice probably a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Did I? Okay.
And it was at a time where I was kind of doing that, and it kind of hit me just right. I'm like, shit, he's right.
Yeah.
Be in the moment and appreciate this. 'Cause I hear it all the time, and it almost becomes white noise. You hear it so much, like it goes by fast.
Yeah.
But, man, it does go by fast.
Yeah.
They develop so quick.
Yeah.
So that stuck with me. I actually shared that with my old man. Like, what Gavin told me the other day? I thought that was a good little nugget.
That's I'm passing on my Uncle Jim Novak. That was what he told me. And so, not my original thought, but I'm definitely trying to live it, because my oldest is now 13. He's going to be wrapping up 7th grade. So we're talking 1 year until he's in high school. It's mind-boggling.
What do you miss from that time, from where I'm at? What do you miss?
Oh, I get reminded weekly because of the iPhone time hop, whatever that thing is, where it pops up like just how innocent and they're developing their personalities. They're developing who they are as people and their own. I mean, because they're all going to be different, and there's certainly an argument of nurture versus nature, but the nature part's real, and I just love seeing them come into their own now, and as they're just so. Honestly, they're so cute. I mean, 3 years old. You just want to cuddle them all the time. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like my 7-year-old right now, he's a little guy, and I still he probably thinks he's like, get away from me, Dad.
I feel the same way. I'm terrified of like when she doesn't want to cuddle up with me anymore. I don't know if I can deal with that rejection. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, because the 13-year-old definitely is not cuddling anymore. My daughter will. She's 11. She loves it, but yeah, every age is the best. Every age is the best. Give me them all.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'd want to go back into the diaper stage. Full disclosure, but where are you at on the potty training? You probably out of that, aren't you? Or you
No, we're getting her warmed up.
I'm trying to remember.
We're trying to warm her. I think she's in the sweet spot.
You're better getting transition. That's probably true. Yeah.
She's starting to identify that the urge is coming and communicate it, but we haven't quite made it to the next step. Yeah. She's sat on it, and that's as far as we've gotten. And
there you
sort
go.
of pretended, but we're getting there. I think we're gonna, transitioning here. Like now that she's sort of forming opinions and has preferences. Now it's you gotta start putting on the discipline pants just a little bit, and that's been kind of a weird thing. You get so used to like just cradling this little thing, right? And now it's like, oh, they're talking back now. So that's been interesting.
Yeah. It's so funny because like girls are different, and I'm much more prone to be a little harder on my boys. Had 3 boys and a girl, and we had a situation recently where my wife felt like I left my daughter off the hook, and she let me know that. We had a situation we needed to both be there to confront her on something, and I just she starts crying, so I just totally pull back and like get soft, and she just keeps going at her, and then afterwards she's like, "Why are you so soft?" I'm like, I felt bad. She's crying, If that was the boys crying, I'd be like, "What are you crying for? Put your head out of your ass."
It's weird. Yeah, I totally agree. When I was hoping for a boy, full transparency, I was hoping for a boy. I don't know why, but man, I wouldn't change it. Like having a girl is just totally different, and maybe it plays a part of what I was talking about earlier and changing my kind of personality a little bit. Yeah, it brings out a little different side of you.
It does. Well, I appreciate you sharing all that. I think one thing I'm interested to hear more about is kind of how, specifically in the marketing side, how things have changed so much over the last 5 years, 10 years. I mean, and what you're kind of focused on right now. We joked about the Google Analytics thing. Certainly search engine optimization and marketing is a huge part of what you do and our team does. What keeps you up at night? Maybe we'll start there and then talk about kind of what you work on every day.
Man, honestly, I've tried to deviate a little bit as far as the what keeps me up at night stuff. I try to just focus as much as I can on what I can control. What worries me the most, I shouldn't say it with you sitting here, is I just want to tell the authentic story of you guys. It's the number one reason why I've been here 18 years.
Yeah,
I gotta believe in the cause and the people involved, and I think it gets lost in the nature of the business. Like, you have to make noise. You have to be in front of people's faces to be even considered. And I understand that. But sometimes, like, I just want to break through some of that and just communicate straight up, like, this is who these people are. This is what they're about. And, it's hard. This is a business. And sometimes making my points it can be difficult because it's not like the McGrath family of dealerships has been unsuccessful prior to me stumbling in here. But I think especially in the past 10 years, people are getting pretty tuned into the nature of advertising, the techniques employed,
Yeah.
the way it can be manipulative. And I don't see a need for those kinds of strategies because there's values and principles behind this brand that mean something, I believe.
Well said.
And that's who people want to do business with, is people they trust, people they understand, people they believe in. I have a hard time believing that most people, not all, there's going to be some, but most people are going to make a choice like this based on how they feel about the company, not necessarily the price tag, not necessarily about the vehicle itself. It's like, I want to do business with them because I believe in who they are and what they represent. I want to be more aggressive in establishing that and not sort of putting the high pressure strategies into, especially on TV and radio.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an opportunity, the best opportunity, to put a spotlight on the stories I'm referring to. And, once they have an interest, then they can take the next step. Online, we have a constant flow through social media of, up-to-date stories of stuff going on in the dealership, offers that people can take advantage of, like services. It's all covered. It's all in front of it. It's easily available. I don't think that needs to be pushed so hard. I think what needs to be pushed is, why do you choose McGrath? And if you are about family values, treating people the way they should be treated, respecting people, and giving back to the community in significant way, we need to be talking about that more too. Well,
yeah. We do. Yeah.
I understand sort of it can come off a certain way as sort of gloating, but if you don't tell your story, somebody else will, right? And I feel like that might be a bit of a factor when it comes to the McGrath perception. I feel like a lot of times somebody else is telling our story when we should be.
It's well put.
I don't really even consider myself a marketer. Like, I don't have the background. Like we went over, I didn't go to college to be a marketer, and I didn't go to college to be anything but a Photoshop junkie. I would describe myself as an empathetic human being. Like, I understand motivations for people and why they do things, I think, better than your average Joe. Totally lost where I was going with that.
You don't have the marketing education background, but you are an empathetic person.
I don't have the background. I'm an empathetic human being that understands motivations, and that's what I want to connect to.
Yeah.
That's what I want to connect to. I understand how to connect to that, into that in a meaningful way that isn't.
Yeah, you do.
Strategy. I'm extremely sensitive to that stuff. Even some of the hardest things I've done here are tragedies, passing of people in this group. Because then a lot of times I've had to write some stuff.
Yeah.
And I hate when a business writes like they're a human. Does that make sense? Like
they're not a human, or like they're
like false representation. Like it just comes off as insincere.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely sensitive to that. Saying all the right things the right way.
Yeah.
I want it to mean something. I want it to be sincere. I want it to be sincere to the people impacted. And that's a lot of weight to carry.
Yeah, it is.
For just a little passage of words. But man, I do anything but my best effort in those kind of contexts is this like a disservice to everything the brand represents, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So those moments mean a lot to me. Those moments are important to me.
Yeah. That's a great, and we've had our unfair share of them, it seems like,
Indeed.
recently, which is.
Indeed. But yeah, I am not a marketer. I'm a communicator, above all else. I just want to And even when it comes down to putting together an advertisement for a vehicle, I don't want it to be misleading. I don't want to hide certain aspects of something. I want it all out in the front. Here's the situation. Like, we're not here to bullshit you. Like, that's what I want to present to the world. It's like, we are not scheming. This is the stereotype of it is out there. I get it, but that's not the game we're playing.
Yeah, and you've done a really good job pushing us to continue to, maybe with some resistance, tell our story. Like, as our family, I don't personally care to be on TV. I mean, I don't hate it.
And I get that. And I totally understand that perspective. It's hard to. Yeah, it's hard to bark orders at you guys in that regard, because like you got to live it, and that comes with a lot. I understand that.
And that's why I like this specific podcast. If we're calling it a podcast, I don't even know. It's because it's allowing our people to be part of the story, because it's really, that's what our story is our people. That's why we exist. That's what we do. Not only why our business is here, but because why we even want to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is for our people to impact people's lives. And so to allow you to tell your story, allow Everett and Mike McAtee and Dick, and it's fun. That's why it's cool.
I love writing. I love writing into scripts. Your friends and neighbors. Like, it's true. Like, McGrath family dealerships, we're not based out of Omaha, Nebraska. We're right here in your backyard. The people that you see at the dealership are your neighbors. Yeah. Like, it's this idea that gets pushed on that it's just like this mega corporation buying out dealerships. It's the biggest crock of crap that gets perpetuated out there. I loathe it. I loathe it.
Yeah. You really have gotten, well, first of all, back to your just mastering skill sets. You did master web development. Is that fair to say?
That is a world that is too deep for anyone to claim that they have mastered. But in terms of, as it applies here, we got it pretty well figured. Search engine optimization specifically. Yeah. We learned a lot quickly, and we're able to gain a lot of success through that. I'm sorry to argue with you, but I've mastered nothing. The byproduct of taking on so much is you just can't. Sometimes I resent it almost that I don't get to focus and hone in on one thing, because I feel like, man, if I could just focus on one thing, I could be a powerhouse. But ultimately, like, it's just not me. I love the breadth of opportunity I get. I love tinkering with stuff. I love new subjects, new skills to explore and learn. The internet side was my specialty, but I think graphics is where I shine. Graphics is where I have a hard time letting go of graphic design still. I get to vicariously entertain myself through Nick Applegate, our senior designer, who is a super talented dude, and a joy, like you were saying about kind of giving other people an opportunity through the McGrath tent, like in some small way being somewhat responsible for helping a guy like Nick hone his craft. Like, that is some of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Him in particular, because he came in kind of rough, raw talent with some ideas, and like he just kept his nose down. He just comes in and works and like me, tinkers and plays with stuff. I love. He's been sending through chat to us this week a bunch of AI stuff he's been tinkering with.
Really?
Yeah. He's just always cooking up something, and it's always weird. Weird as hell, but that's what I appreciate most about it. It's just you get a little insight as to what's going on in his head.
He's really good, and also all-state pitcher at Kennedy High School. Yeah. Stud. How? Okay, one last thing on maybe the car side marketing. How will AI impact our business?
You asked the wrong person about that, because I could go down 1 million rabbit holes. I love AI talk. It's like my sci-fi lane of interest for sure. how will it impact the car market?
Maybe a couple key ones in the marketing world, maybe, or the whole thing, because it all's.
It's related to SEO. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if I have anything meaningful to say about it right now, but just the amount of lately we've been producing a lot of landing pages, making use of things like Chat GPT. I just
Explain landing pages.
So like a landing page is landing page is essentially just a page oriented around a specific keyword phrase, just to get us build up your page rank for correlated keywords. Like say you're a car dealer, you want to be associated with cars, trucks, vans, Chevrolet, Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So it's a means of building up that network of keywords, but it's also kind of trying to get in front of someone that's searching for that specific that specific answer.
So somebody gets in Google and searches Chevy Colorado near me.
Used cars in Cedar Rapids.
Yep.
Hopefully we're popping up number one with a beautiful landing page that
details. So you click that and you go to this
brand
landing
services, page. All that good stuff. But seeing us utilize Chat GPT for that kind of thing, and then thinking about that in terms of what's happening across the country, like inundating the internet with this AI-generated content. It's like I said, I don't know if I got any nugget of truth there, but it's been kind of curious in my head lately, like what the internet looks like 10 years from now, specific to the influence of AI. I don't know. That's a weird rabbit hole to go down.
It is. That's a deep question.
Yeah, it is.
But it will play a huge role.
Plus, hell, even application to the vehicle itself.
Yeah.
Where are the limits to this? It's going to be an interesting question we see kind of roll out in the next 10 years, if it takes that long.
Should we do some rapid fire questions?
Oh, hell yeah.
What is your favorite time of the day and why?
Ooh, favorite time of the day is the evening hours, because that is when I get to see my little chitlin and talk to my wife and just relax. I love the mornings too.
Yeah.
Just something about the silence, but evenings with the family for sure.
Good stuff. Go ahead. You can do it. We'll go back and forth. We'll do a few.
Weirdest thing you've done for TV or social media for McGrath? Weirdest.
I think it was during the polar vortex. It was about 0 degrees. I took my shirt off and jumped into a snow pile. But it was for a juvenile diabetes research foundation fundraiser. So I remember Brent Taylor with DC Taylor. I called him out. He ended up doing it the same day. We raised some money.
Nice.
It was just right out here.
Yeah, I remember.
On the corner.
Nick took the video. Nick Applegate took the video and made a remix of it.
It was. That's right. I'm sure now. Insert the video. Go ahead, Zach. Here's your winter challenge for 2019, and I pre-apologize for the dad bod. That is fucking oh my God. Oh man, that was cold. Never been so cold in my life. It was 0 degrees.
I'm sure it was cold.
And I had underwear.
That was it, right?
Yep, that was it.
We must have watched it 100 times back here.
That's right. All right, I'm next. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, sun chips and a ham sandwich, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's easy. Oh, yeah, easy. Pizza.
From where?
Actually, Tommaso's or Cappy's. Those are top of the mountain.
Oh, Cappy's.
Cappy's is, everybody talks about need, but Cappy's is where it's at, bro.
Safari's opening back up, by the way.
Really?
Safari Lounge. It's Cappy, isn't it? He owns that.
I did not know that, no.
I read it was opening it back up.
Interesting.
What topping?
Plain cheese.
Okay.
I'll take a pepperoni, but I'm a plain cheese guy.
Right.
It's all about the dough. It's about the sauces. It's about the cheese, Gavin. It's all an art form.
That's fair.
But funny little facts about me. I pretty much, from the ages of 16 until 28, 27, strictly ate frozen pizza.
Seriously?
I'd even have it for lunch and dinner.
You mean that's all you ate?
That's all.
Period.
Period.
What in the world
Period.
are you talking about?
That's all I ate.
Oh my gosh.
Jack's frozen pizza.
Jack's?
Yeah, you know, five for $10 or something. Yeah. Oh yeah. maybe get a little extra bag of cheddar and sprinkle that on there just to juice it up
It's
a
like
little
150 grams of fat.
bit. Oh yeah.
I mean, just...
Oh yeah. I was hammering, bud. And I'd eat the whole thing.
Those are $5. Are they still $5?
Oh, I don't know what they are.
I remember in college they were $5.
No, at the time it was 10 for $5 or something like that, or 5 for $10. Sorry, so it'd be $2 a piece.
Are you serious?
You can't turn that kind of value. It took me years. Like I ate like a 4-year-old, man. I didn't really start eating like a normal human being until the wife and I picked up Blue Apron. And started experimenting. I started trying new things. Like up until then,
You're saying for 12 years or 11, you only ate Jack's Pizza. There wasn't a banana in there. There wasn't a sandwich.
I mean, you could.
You're
mix
98%.
I mean, some of that stuff would be mixed in, but yeah, I would say at least strong 80% was frozen pieces.
Oh my God!
I don't know what to tell you on that one.
And in that time, you lost 110 pounds.
No, it was like, I don't know, the timelines I might have mixed up, but I shut that down and then started getting serious about my health and cleaned some stuff up. But it's still like that transition from frozen pizza bread to healthy bread. Like I was still like, I think my big diet plan was like ham sandwiches and like shredded wheat. Like it wasn't an educated approach.
Yeah, just
whatsoever.
less calories. You
Yeah,
just probably didn't eat that much.
Yeah. Be more active and.
There you go. How about one more? What's your irrationally specific dream job that isn't this one? That's a pretty good question.
Oh, easy. Motocross photography.
There you go. Photography.
Yeah, motocross. I mean, you could do some little journalism along with that, but motocross photography, I absolutely love it. There is something other people don't see, I guess. There's an artistry to it that I just love. There's something about the marriage of the human and the machine, and the obstacles and courses and the way they manipulate that bike. It's just poetry in motion to me, and I love capturing as much as I can. Like every year, still, I've been going since probably '96 or '97. Every summer, I go up to it's kind of outside Rochester, Minnesota. There's a pro national.
Oh yeah.
For the professional series, Millville, Minnesota. Always bring my camera gear and take usually right around 3,000 to 4,000 photos.
Do you really?
Throughout the day. Yeah, it's an all day thing, but yeah, I just anything that I just lose myself in like that, I'm obsessed with, and that would be my dream job. It's tough to really commit to that as the answer because ultimately, like along with that is a lot of travel.
Yeah.
And I'm too family oriented and not willing to abandon my support system to take that on. But, you know, in the dream scenario, that'd be fun as hell.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you go to stuff around here? Do they still do stuff at Hawkeye Downs?
Hawkeye Downs is toast. I'm not really tuned into the local scene anymore.
Yeah.
I know there's tracks around in races I loosely pay attention to, but yeah, no more Hawkeye Downs. It's kind of a bummer. I did race out there for a little while when I was in high school. Gnarly track. Lots of crashing out there.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite ready at the time, but it was a good time. And camaraderie with the old man. It was always good bonding experiences. Me and him. Like I remember growing up, he'd always, when we'd go out, he took it seriously, but not like in any sort of mean or abusive way. It was like he just wanted to give me discipline, and we'd do drills and all. He actually, when I was in high school, we had a plot of land he took out and built a motocross track for me and my best friend at the time, Adam Davis. And, we could bust out of school.
Really?
It was like a mile or so down the road from Prairie and just ride all night. It was dream come true. It was awesome. All right, one more for you?
Oh, sure. One more.
Sort of correlated to the context here. If you had a late night talk show, Who would you invite as your first guest?
Gosh.
Dolly Parton. She's a gem. She's a national treasure.
Oh, that's a good one. Who would I invite as my first guest on a late night talk show? I feel like I'd invite somebody that is extraordinarily funny and easy to talk to and fun. So I'd probably pick. Can I pick a dead person?
Yeah.
Chris Farley.
Oh.
I always loved Chris Farley.
That's near and dear to my heart.
I cried when he died.
Same.
My mom called me. I was at a friend. She called the landline at a friend's house to let me know that Chris Farley died.
I read his biography, Bald Like a Baby.
I haven't read that.
Oh man, you know, as an ex-fat dude, you know, you just relate to some of that stuff, and like, yeah, he was a special guy. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
I actually got my kids. It's time for my 13-year-old to watch Tommy Boy. It is now time.
Let's go.
Put that in my head, and we're gonna watch that this weekend.
I love that. That's necessary viewing for a young man.
That's good stuff. I can't thank you enough for your time, man.
Absolutely.
And for being open, and
yeah,
it's genuinely a pleasure to work with you every day. I love it, and you do an amazing job.
Hey, I respect the hell out of you too, man.
It's super fun to watch you and the entire team kick ass every single day.
We got a good crew. A good crew.
So appreciate you, man. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you all next time.